School soon became a struggle for Clara. Her grades began to slip, and she grew quiet and withdrawn. Her teacher noticed the change and called Olivia and Henry in for a meeting to express concern about Clara's behavior. However, they brushed it off.
Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, like, share, and comment. And as a matter of fact, I love you all.
Once upon a time, there lived a loving couple named Olivia and Henry. They had been married for 5 years, but despite all their efforts, they had no children. This caused them great sorrow, especially as their families constantly pressured them about it. Nevertheless, they remained committed to loving each other through these challenging times. After much contemplation, Olivia and Henry decided to adopt a child. Their hearts were drawn to a sweet, bright little girl named Clara. She was only 6 years old and had been born with a disability. She could not walk and relied on a wheelchair. Yet, her cheerful personality and glowing smile immediately won Olivia and Henry over. "We will take care of her and give her everything she needs," Henry promised. Olivia nodded in agreement, tears in her eyes. They felt this was their chance to bring happiness into their lives and Clara as well. So, they adopted her, and life with Clara was filled with joy. Clara was placed in the best school, and they hired a personal aide to assist her with everything she needed. At night, Olivia and Henry would read her bedtime stories, laughing and cuddling before tucking her in. They celebrated her birthdays with cakes, presents, and balloons, and they often took her to the park to play with other children. Clara felt loved and secure, knowing she was part of a family that cared deeply for her. Then, something miraculous happened. After years of thinking it was impossible, Olivia discovered that she was pregnant. The news brought excitement to the whole family. Olivia and Henry had finally received the miracle they had prayed for, a child of their own. Soon, Olivia gave birth to a healthy, beautiful baby girl, and everyone was overjoyed. As time went on, Clara began to notice changes. Olivia and Henry were now consumed with caring for the new baby. Bedtime stories and family outings became things of the past, and the once joyful household now felt dim and distant. Clara understood that the baby needed extra care, but deep inside, she felt left out. She tried her best to be a loving big sister, always smiling and reaching out to play with her baby sister. However, Olivia and Henry were overly cautious whenever she was near the baby, refusing to let her hold or even touch her little sister, which hurt Clara deeply. School soon became a struggle for Clara. Her grades began to slip, and she grew quiet and withdrawn. Her teacher noticed the change and called Olivia and Henry in for a meeting to express concern about Clara's behavior. However, they brushed it off, saying she was just adjusting to the new baby and would be fine in time. The baby's first birthday arrived, and Olivia and Henry threw a grand party. However, Clara was not included in the celebration. She wasn't even given new clothes for the occasion. From her room, she watched as everyone celebrated without her, tears streaming down her face. She felt forgotten. Not long after the birthday party, tragedy struck. The baby fell ill, and Olivia and Henry were frantic, doing everything they could to save their only daughter. Despite their efforts, the baby did not survive. The loss left them devastated, heartbroken as they wondered why their miracle had been taken from them so soon. In their grief, they turned their attention back to Clara, showering her with love and attention once more, as if nothing had happened. Life seemed to return to normal, but this would not last. Soon, Olivia became pregnant again, this time with twins. The excitement returned to their household, and once more, Clara was pushed to the sidelines. Olivia's mother warned her not to neglect Clara again, but her advice fell on deaf ears. The couple decided to change Clara's school to a cheaper one, while the twins were enrolled in the best schools money could buy. Gradually, they began to mistreat Clara. Olivia, once a loving mother, became harsh and impatient. She would shout at Clara and even hit her for the slightest mistake. Henry wasn't any better. He grew distant, focusing all his attention on his biological children. One day, Clara's personal maid needed to travel to the village for a week to see her sick mother. Olivia and Henry allowed her to go without making any arrangements for someone else to take care of Clara. Instead, they decided to take their twins on a vacation, leaving Clara home alone. No one considered how the 8-year-old, unable to walk, would manage without any help. Thankfully, the maid had left some bottled water and biscuits for Clara before leaving. However, it wasn't enough. After 3 days, Clara had run out of food and water. She couldn't get out of her wheelchair and was too weak to call for help. Helpless and scared, she sat in her room, unable to move, with no one there to care for her. When the maid returned a week later, she was horrified by what she saw. Clara was barely alive, sitting in her own waste, dehydrated, and starving. The maid rushed Clara to the hospital, where doctors worked tirelessly to save her life. The maid tried contacting Olivia and Henry, but they were still on vacation and didn't seem to care much about Clara's condition. They continued to enjoy their holiday with the twins. The maid, having little money to cover the hospital bills, contacted the adoption agency that had helped place Clara with Olivia and Henry. When the agency representative arrived at the hospital, they were devastated to see Clara's condition. They remembered her as the sweet, bright girl they had placed with the couple and couldn't believe how poorly she had been treated. The agency immediately covered Clara's medical expenses and took legal action to remove her from Olivia and Henry's custody. When the couple returned from their vacation, they were served with a court order. The adoption agency had filed charges against them for neglect, and Clara was taken away. They were fined a large sum for the harm they had caused, but all Olivia and Henry could think about was how they were going to throw a lavish party for their twins. The twins' birthday arrived soon, and Olivia and Henry spared no expense on the celebration. It was the biggest party in town, with everyone talking about it. The event even made it to national and international news. But the following morning, tragedy struck again. Olivia went to wake the twins for breakfast, but they wouldn't wake up. In a panic, Henry rushed them to the hospital, but it was too late. Both twins had passed away in their sleep, and the doctors couldn't explain why. Rumors began to swirl on social media, with many suggesting that Olivia and Henry's neglect of Clara had brought them bad luck. Olivia's mother reminded her of the warning she had given about mistreating Clara, but the loss was too much for Olivia to bear. She spiraled into madness, and despite Henry's efforts to help her, nothing seemed to work. Meanwhile, Clara was placed with a new family that treated her with love and care. She received therapy and slowly began to heal from the emotional scars left by Olivia and Henry. Though she would always carry the pain of her past, Clara found hope and happiness in her new home. As for Olivia and Henry, they were left with nothing but regret. Their wealth couldn't bring back their children or erase the pain they had caused Clara. They had lost everything, and in the end, they realized too late that Clara had been their true miracle all along.